Your phone is the problem, but I am here to help you fix that. There are a lot of videos out there about why smartphones are bad for us, what they're doing to our brains, and how they're keeping us addicted to technology. This is not that video. I already know that stuff, you already know that stuff. Instead, what I'm gonna do in this video is teach you how to habit science your way out of your addiction to your phone. And step one is making your smartphone look as dumb as possible. In this video, I'm gonna show you how I turned my phone from this into this. Let's get into it. Right now, my phone looks like this. It looks pretty different from your standard smartphone. The regular version of a smartphone is made to be pretty addicting. The bright colors, the infinite information and options, it basically serves to keep you in a mental state of constant stimulation, which kind of makes it impossible to slow down, check in with yourself so that you can make conscious decisions about how you're spending your time. It really doesn't feel conscious when you go into a smartphone, at least one that looks like a normal smartphone. And it's using a lot of the same principles that casinos use to keep gamblers in casinos, like bright colors and lights and motion. So switching from this environment to this environment is like going from this to this. So in order to come to this phone, I did a number of things. First, I made a list of priorities and of things that I actually wanted my phone to do. For example, no other device that I have can send a text message, so I needed messages on my phone. Also, I use my phone to keep up and stay current with what's going on at work. So I actually have an identical screen to the right that is sort of more work-oriented, which has Gmail, Outlook, so my email, Slack, my task list, and then access to the internet because I need those things for work. So those types of things are what was on my list. You just are gonna have to create your own list and then organize your phone according to those priorities. Don't just feel like you need to copy exactly my list because it's my list, it's not yours. So before I get into exactly how I made my phone look like this and give you the full tour of my phone, I wanna go over some basic habit science principles first. These come from James Clear's Atomic Habits, and his rules for positive habit formation are 1, make it obvious, 2, make it attractive, 3, make it easy, and 4, make it satisfying. Now, because we're trying to break a smartphone addiction, knowing what forms a good habit is not enough. We also need to understand how to break a bad habit. And to break a bad habit, we need to invert the 4 principles of habit formation to their opposite form. So instead of making it obvious, we're gonna make it invisible. Instead of making it attractive, we're gonna make it unattractive. Instead of making it easy, we're gonna make it difficult. And instead of making it satisfying, we're gonna make it unsatisfying. For the most part, for this tutorial, we're gonna be focusing on inverting the second rule and making our phones unattractive. The main way you make your phone unattractive is by getting rid of pictures and colors. Let's observe the app library really fast. You can see that there are a ton of different pictures and colors screaming out for your attention on this screen. This is true on a standard smartphone as well, the way Apple encourages you to set up your phone with a lot of widgets and apps and things like that. It's basically relying on the same psychological principle that like a fruit tree relies on. So an apple tree makes its apple red so that an animal, such as a human being, will grab it and be like, oh, cool, food, and then grab the apple off the tree. And that's how apples repopulate, right? Animals then drop the seeds, apple trees grow where the seeds land. With an app, developers want to make them as colorful and beautiful as possible so that you click on them, so that amidst all the other apps, you choose their app to click on, and then you proceed from there to give them money on the app or spend time on the app and make them money off of advertisements. So we want to break our addiction by basically turning all of this off. And you can see already right away, there's a couple of ways that I can do that. Number 1, you can immediately turn your phone to black and white. Not a lot of people know this, but you can make a setting where your phone turns black and white if you tap your home screen 3 times. In the accessibility menu, you want to go to display text and size, and then to color filters. It gives you a bunch of options here. If you want your screen to be like all pink, for example, you can click that. But I have a shortcut set up so that when I click the home button here 3 times, it automatically goes into grayscale. That makes this look a whole lot less appealing. You actually have to know what you're looking for instead of just relying on the pops of colors that make your brain go fast. So this is already a good step, but the second step is going to be removing them from your home screen at all, right? And I do this with an app called blank spaces. We go back to the app library. It's this one right here that sort of has the line on it. I just pay for the premium. I bought it in full. It's not a very expensive app, but it enables you to create widgets that are just text widgets that then link out to the app. So for example, it has Spotify integrated, so I click on music and it just opens Spotify right away. I got the idea to use the blank spaces app from another creator called Rachelle on YouTube, so I will leave his videos linked down below. He was a super helpful resource in setting up this app. But essentially what you do is you open the app, create these widget blocks that have the different items in them. I have 2 of them, like I said earlier, one for sort of general stuff that I need my phone for, one for more productivity oriented stuff that is related to my work life. And then on your desktop, if we go to a blank desktop screen, you can add them by going down to the widget itself and adding the widget to your home screen, and then boom, it appears on your home screen. This way, nothing colorful pops up when you open your phone. It forces your brain to think consciously about what you want to open by reading things. So it's a lot slower, it's a lot less immediate. You'll also notice that I have a background that matches the widget color. So the widget color is automatically this gray color. In the app, there's a way to get different wallpapers, and I just chose the one on dark mode that's completely black or completely gray, and I just use this one because I like to keep my phone in dark mode. And the reason I do this is again to further remove color from my phone and make it less exciting. So I'm not even trying to have a cute picture of my pet on my phone. I'm just trying to have an empty phone that is purely utilitarian so that my brain is not stimulated by the act of picking up my phone. So this is how I've made my phone supremely unattractive. It's not enjoyable to pick up, it's functional when I pick it up. And the same is true for my lock screen. It just has a basic gray background. Nothing exciting. So we also, to make our phone a more usable tool, we want to make things that are distracting to us more difficult, or as I like to think of it, more frustrating to access. One of the big reasons I started on this journey was because my addiction to social media was so bad. So I have on my phone an app called Opal. Opal is an app that allows you to control your screen time beyond just what the Apple native capabilities are. Opal will fully block apps for you. Right now I just have a weekend setting on, but I have various different blocks. My daytime peace block, for example, is one that takes place from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day, and all my social media is blocked. Now, Opal has a variety of different difficulty settings for your blockages. I pay for Opal Premium because I care so much about this, and so I'm using deep focus every single day. When I click on deep focus, it basically means that you cannot snooze or end the session early, and you cannot access any blocked apps through it. It will not let you get to Instagram. Believe me, it will not. There is no, 15 more minutes workaround. Nothing. For the most part though, on the weekends, I'm using this weekend oriented one where I can snooze if I want to. So if I snooze, I can snooze for 5 minutes or 15 minutes, however long I want. It just forces me to add friction. Every single time I want to access Instagram, I have to open this additional app, decide to snooze, and then go into Instagram. It's just adding friction, making it a little bit more frustrating, making it harder. There's also a difficulty setting that I use most of the rest of the week except on weekends. That's called time out, which basically means every time you go in and snooze your app, it adds time that you have to wait until you can snooze again. So say I snooze the app, I'm on Instagram for 15 minutes. The next time I go to snooze Opal, it will make me physically sit there and wait 15 seconds before I can snooze. And then if I go back to snooze it again later in the day, it will make me wait 20 seconds and so on and so forth, just so that you are disincentivized from actually snoozing the distracting apps that you don't want to be on in the first place, that you're just addicted to. So I really love Opal because it has changed the game as far as my social media addiction goes. But another way to do this is that when I open my phone, I only have a passcode option. I do not have Face ID set up at all. So each and every time I have to open my phone for any reason, I must enter my passcode. It just adds a slight more amount of friction that really keeps me from going into my phone more than you would think, because it becomes frustrating if you keep having to enter your passcode to open your phone once you've tasted the glory of Face ID. So doing this just adds a little bit more difficulty and keeps your phone from feeling like this very fast, easy access thing that you can just breeze through. We're trying to keep ourselves from getting to the addictive stuff. Now, for the most part, if something is not on this screen or this screen, I am not really accessing it. If I need to open up YouTube or Instagram, for example, I will go to the app library and I will just find Instagram or find YouTube, provided that they're not currently being blocked by Opal. Or I can always pull down and just use the search function to search for the app that I need, and then I can click on it. That's because for the most part, I don't want to see the app on my home screen anywhere, because I will click on it if I see it. Again, that just sort of forces me to be intentional about how I'm spending my time. If I have to search manually for the app, or if I have to go and search for it in the app library, it just keeps it from being too immediately accessible to me, and thus it adds that difficulty and helps me break the bad habit of just ripping open my phone and clicking on Instagram or YouTube right away. Training your brain to slow down is obviously not easy, but in addition to revamping my phone, I actually have a cool additional piece of technology that really helps. Muse makes headbands that actually track your brain activity, and they sent me this one to try out. This is the Muse S headband. It looks a little funky, but it is super comfortable, which is awesome because you actually wear it while you sleep. This guy uses EEG technology to track your brainwaves while you sleep, which helps you know how rested you are. It'll tell you your deep sleep intensity, how much REM sleep you got, even your heart rate and sleep position. You can also use the headband to quiet your mind while meditating. You can play a bunch of different soundscapes. I personally like the ocean waves, call it growing up by the beach, whatever. And then there's this really cool neurofeedback system. Basically, if your mind starts to get too busy and those brain waves start firing, Muse will actually play audio cues so that you know when your mind is wandering, and it'll give you the push, come back to your breath and meditate properly. Honestly, I am usually pretty skeptical of tech products like this, but there is a ton of research supporting the idea that neurofeedback technology, like the Muse headband, makes a positive impact on cognitive performance. So if you are interested in improving your focus or reducing your stress, which I know we all are, this is one of the coolest and most unique ways to do it that I've seen in a really long time. If any of this sounds up your alley, head to choosemuse.com/RachelInTheory or use my code RachelInTheory for a sweet 15% off discount on your first order. Thanks again to Muse for sponsoring. Now let's get back to making my phone also stress-free so that I can actually focus. You might be looking at this version and saying, well, where is all the productive stuff? There's so much that we need our phone to do that our world continuously demands of us. Like concert tickets are almost universally on a phone now. Lots of venues don't even accept printed tickets anymore, right? For that kind of thing, I would also just search the app library, but there are a few ways that I use my phone for easy, quick habits that I want to make accessible. So how do you make the things that you need quickly on your phone accessible? The answer to this question is you want to make the things that you need to use your phone for easy, but not attractive. So for example, I need my phone to jot down notes and tasks really quickly. So I have shortcuts right here on my home screen so that I don't even need to go all the way into my phone to do these two quick capture methods. I like these quick capture methods because no matter where I am, I probably have my phone on me, and that means I can just, with one click, essentially make a note or a task for myself to handle later when I am at my desktop computer. So let me show you the notes one, for example. I can click on it. Obviously, I have to enter my passcode, and then immediately a function pops up where I can add a note without actually going into my notes app and thus not being distracted by all the previous notes I've ever created. So I can just add sample note, sample text, and then click done, and it's added. It goes right to the note in case I want to add more information, but I'm not sifting through a bunch of different notes to add additional information, and then I get like distracted by a note I made yesterday or something. I'm just relying on this functionality to add the note into my notes system, and then I can process it later, is the idea. So it's a quick capture method right from the home screen. I have the same thing with the tasks. I just click on the shortcut and it opens the same way that the notes app does. I just add a quick task here, go go grocery shopping, click done, and then it will show me the task. I'm gonna dismiss it because I don't wanna go into the app, but it's that kind of quick functionality that keeps me from going too deeply into apps that have a bunch of information I don't need at the moment, and allows me to just focus on quickly getting the idea down and moving back towards what I was actually supposed to be doing in the moment, whether that's socializing or something else. On my home screen, I also like to have a certain amount of information about the day. So I used to have a calendar widget here, but I really didn't like seeing my calendar right away on my phone. So I don't have that anymore. Instead, I have the weather, which I always check my phone for in the morning. First thing is basically the weather, so I can know how to dress for the day. And then the moon phase, which is spiritually significant to me. I just like to know what the moon is up to. In the same vein, I also have the associated planet that the day is associated with up here at the top. If these two things are not important to you, don't add them. Just put whatever here is important to you to either quickly access immediately without going all the way into the app, or what information you need at a glance just to peek at so that you know what your day holds. So as I said earlier, this is not necessarily a super attractive home screen to be opening up all the time. Like, I don't see a picture, and so thus I don't want to open my phone all the time, but it is full of super functional, really easy to access widgets so that my positive habits are easy but not attractive. At least not attractive in the way that phones are normally attractive in a distracting sort of context. The last thing I want to say is that I do have a hidden widget up here. This is another idea that I borrowed. This June 16th is just showing another widget in Blank Spaces app that will show you the date. But if I click in, I can open my calendar right away, which is pretty cool. And then underneath here, I have a mood tracker, a habit tracker, and a workout tracker, because those are the three things that I really do actually want to focus on. Another way of leveraging the smartphone's capabilities without making my actual home screen look very attractive, just having it hidden, is really, really helpful. But another way that you can do this if you want to have apps on your home screen without necessarily having all of the distracting like clutter that looks like this is to basically just add shortcuts. So if we go to the shortcuts widget, I can choose to add say 4 shortcuts and then choose what folder I want. So let's go to the fun folder. Let's say this is a shortcut folder that I made that has like a few fun things that I want to have on my phone sometimes, but I don't necessarily want to see like the colors of Instagram or Reddit. Maybe I just want to have these apps accessible to me, but I don't want all of the distracting elements because I still want it to be unattractive. I can add this to my home screen, and then opening these becomes a lot less exciting because they're in grayscale, they're not colorful, and I can choose the icons, which makes it really customizable to sort of like how you feel going into your phone. So depending on if I am in a period of my life where I need to access other things than what I have here and here, I will often build a widget like this so that it's just kind of plain Jane, really functional, but I can go in and still like read what it says and then click on it and I will open, say like my birding app or whatever. By the way, birding is really fun. This is a new hobby I picked up this year. So we've talked a lot about making things unattractive, making things difficult. What about making things invisible or making them unsatisfying? Well, the invisibility comes by just not having certain apps visible. So for example, if I need to use YouTube or Instagram, although I need to have them on my phone for work, they're not immediately here or immediately accessible. So I have to manually go in and search for YouTube, which makes it so that I am always intentionally opening these apps instead of unintentionally opening them. But to truly break your smartphone addiction and make it unsatisfying, I recommend you try something like this for a period of like 2 months, like a long time, a decent amount of time, so that you can get your head around the kinks in it, work out the system for yourself, and figure out what your phone actually needs. And then try going back. Try developing your phone in this exact format, the way that you like it, the way that works for you, and then go back to the color and the pizzazz and the whatever. And just notice and journal about how your brain feels different with all of that stimulation versus without all of the stimulation. Because I have been tweaking this system for about 3 months, and I can tell you that my brain feels so much better looking at this than it does looking at like the full app library or like my home screen with a bunch of pictures and colors. It looks and feels so much better to be in this type of phone where it's a functional tool and I'm always being intentional than it does to look at this kind of insane thing. Okay, I'll leave all of the apps down in the description box below. All of the videos I used as inspo down in the description box below. They're gonna have a lot of information for how to set this up in a brass tacks way. But if you have any questions, as always, leave them down there and I will get to them as soon as I can. Chances are your phone already has a bunch of features that you can take advantage of to have a better relationship with technology. Let me know down in the comments below if you found any of this information useful or if you're gonna try and implement it on your own phone. I'd love to know. If you liked this video, you may also like my video on how to deep clean your productivity system. I will leave it right here next to my head so that you can click and view and keep hanging out. I love seeing you here. I'm rambling now, but it's the outro, so only like 15% of you are here, and I love you for that. Thank you for being subscribed, for being awesome. I will see you in the next one. Bye.